Let's put some music. All right, welcome everyone to a new episode of the Women Empowerment Series. I am so excited and honored to have with me Alex Scot, connecting from California. Good morning to you.
Yeah, thank you. Or good afternoon or evening, wherever
It
you
is, we get into the end of the day and this side of the word, but
Yes.
the digital made it so that we can meet with
Yes.
everyone. And I love that.
Yeah, me too. Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, welcome and welcome to everyone joining us live. Let us know where you're connecting from. These series are to present female leaders from around the world who have inspiring stories and who are just here to show the way. And that through our differences, we can create beautiful, beautiful success and beautiful journey. And you are an incredible example. So I'm really, really happy to have this beautiful conversation together.
Thank you. Me too. It's going to be a good one.
Yes. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself. I know you work on something so fascinating to everyone. And I say bonjour, people showing up. Hello. We have French and English joining us. So, Alex, tell us about you. Who are you?
So my name is Alex. Hi, friends. I am a narcissistic abuse recovery coach. So I specialize in helping people heal trauma that's left over from a narcissistic parent or partner. And I was just telling you, I got into doing what I do today through healing my own trauma because I did have a narcissistic partner, which led me to realizing I had a narcissistic parent. And it's such I really got to where I am today because of this first initial moment I had. And I remember this so clearly where I was like, I am the common denominator. Like, I am the reason these unhealthy cycles keep happening. So what within me is participating in this dynamic and how can I make it stop? And the day that I had that realization, and I remember it so well because it was like the epitome of a rock bottom story, like crying on the floor of my Costa Mesa apartment, just being like, oh my God, this hurts so bad. Like, what am I going to do? And how am I going to just get out of this? And so that moment forward, it literally just like my life started to transform piece by piece by piece because I got really serious about understanding trauma, how it lives in the body, how do we actually heal it, what is the nervous system, and how does it dictate our patterns, and like all of these other things. And now, 7 going on 8 years later, I am so honored to be helping people change their lives by healing their trauma. And reclaiming their authentic selves is another big aspect of what I do.
I love that. This is so beautiful. How much time did it take you to actually go from feeling, okay, I'm healed, I'm good, and to understanding where is it, how did it come? What did it come from? How much time?
So, for me, it was like trial by fire, in a way, because I have healed in past tense. For me, like, I'm a lifelong healer. And so really what it was I was getting really frustrated with, like, I was going to therapy, I was reading books, I was listening to podcasts, and things weren't working. Like, I wasn't seeing as much progress in my life that I wanted, which is when I was like, I'm going to take matters into my own hands and plunged deep into like psychology classes and like understanding what was happening, because although I was going to see a therapist, it was traditional talk therapy. Like, I just wasn't getting the tools I needed to actually support the goal that I was aiming for.
Yes.
And so for me, it wasn't like I am feeling healed to seeing results. It was actually like a little bit more grit than that, where I was like, I want results. So what do I need to do?
Yeah.
And as I, so for me, to answer your question, it took me a little bit longer because it was a lot of like, this tool doesn't work for me. This tool does work for me. Like, okay, how can I implement that? How can I integrate it? And so the long aspect of my healing journey, which I would say is about 1.5 years, was me just trying new tools.
Okay.
And then once I found the tools that worked for me, which really lie in nervous system regulation, my life started to efficiently like change to the point where, to the point to where even who I am today, because, and I'm sure you understand this, also being in this industry, like, I practice what I preach. And so,
of course.
yeah. that I've mastered it, it's like, I'm not who I was a month ago, let alone a year ago. It's like,
because you elevate each time.
right. And so my clients make progress with me. A lot of my private clients say within 6 weeks, they're like, I feel like a different person. And it's because of the framework and the tools that I give them. So
Okay.
I hope that answers your question. It's
It
kind of like
does.
a
And I think
backwards story for
even
me.
make it even more impressive because not only you found the right tool that helped you, but you keep on doing it and working with your clients to improve it.
Yeah.
Which means that you are in evolution continuously. And I think this is what leadership is. It's like you lead in the path.
Yeah.
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 That's incredible. You said something very important, which is lifetime healing process.
Yes.
And, can you say more about it?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, this is a wonderful morning to say more about it because
Okay.
yesterday was a hard day for me. And
Really?
I
Okay.
just posted this on an Instagram story, and it's like, I think I get so many survivors of abuse of various kinds that reach out to me and they're like, I never want to feel this way again. And I want to make space for honoring that and understanding that it hurts.
It
Like
hurts.
when you are at a point in your life where you are being mistreated, where you feel confused and hopeless, kind of in a chronic way, it feels really hard and honestly inaccessible to even think of a life where you wake up with a smile on your face and feeling gratitude, right? And so, what I want everyone to understand about the healing journey is that healing doesn't equate to I'm never going to have uncomfortable emotions or I'm never going to be triggered again or I'm never going. It's not that. And it's way more I am empowered to deal with it. I am empowered to have my own back when those moments happen. I know exactly what I need and I don't feel any shame or guilt around prioritizing those needs, right? Like that is what healing is for me. And so, I have this saying, new level, new devil. And I really believe that healing is like we heal, we master something, we plateau, and then another curveball comes and it's like we heal through that and then we plateau.
It triggers it.
Exactly. And so yesterday, it was an interesting day because I had a few really lovely things that happened.
Yeah.
And then I had like an ex reach out and I had this other thing happen. And so I had a lot of emotions coming up around business goals, personal things, and just it was a lot all at once. And I felt my nervous system getting overwhelmed because I'm in touch with those signals. And I was like, okay, babe, like talking to myself, like, what do you need?
Yeah.
And I gave myself permission to unplug. I gave myself permission to do the bare minimum things that my business and clients required of me while then completely unplugging from social media and saying the rest of the day is me and me alone. And I moved my body and I did my breath work and I got curious about what was happening for me. And now today I wake up and I'm like, because I gave myself that time to process, it's done.
I love that.
Exactly.
You give yourself the time and the space, right?
Yes.
Because you have to do that. This is so powerful.
And
I absolutely love it. Yeah.
And the thing I want to just let people know is like when we don't honor that, that's when it becomes this week's been hard, this month's been hard, this year's been hard, because we aren't allowing our body and our minds and our souls to have the space they need to just feel the feeling, surrender to it, and move through it.
Let them go through. It's like you honor them, let them pass.
Exactly. But when we are like, I don't have time for this, I can't make that happen. That is when we repress it and it just churns in the body. And then we have that.
You multiply it to something else. It compounds to something even bigger.
Yes, exactly. So
this is so powerful.
Yeah, that's healing to me.
And you said it so right, Alex, because there is no time you'll just come and say, you know what, I'm healed. Oh, it's gone. I'm done. Never.
I wish, right? Like, can we develop that like a wand for
I don't think it's even possible.
No.
Because the past, you never, you will not erase the past. It will always be there.
Yeah.
But you just relate to it differently. Yeah.
Yeah. And when we think about I also really believe, I'm getting a little emotional. I really believe that we are souls having a human experience for a purpose. And so when we, want to wave the magic wand and be like, I'm healed, I'm never going to be triggered, it's like we're robbing ourselves of that human experience.
Yes.
Because it's not the emotions that are bad. right?
Yeah.
Or means some kind of thing. It
True.
really is just us being the creatures that we are. And when we can just love that aspect of ourselves, where it's like,
Yeah.
no one judges a dog for getting scared. No one
No,
judges a dog for getting, like, we get it. We see them for the animals that they are. We are no different as humans. So it's
yeah,
like when we can just
I love
allow
that.
ourselves to
To
be,
be and
oh,
to be emotional when you feel
yes,
like it. It's
because it
okay.
is.
Yeah.
It's okay. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you're crazy or too sensitive or
No.
emotional. You
And it
just,
doesn't demean you. Yeah. And it doesn't reduce anything of your expertise, your excellence, your knowledge.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly. Yeah,
this is such a beautiful, sentence. And for everyone to know, it is a fact.
yeah,
It's like, let your emotions be. Don't
yeah,
hide them.
yeah.
Mm.
Surrender. Love them. Love your emotions, because that's the way through them, you know?
But this is beautiful, Alex. But a lot of time, people are scared of their emotions.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's why it's hard. So, and Mini, when you know that you work as a trauma coach, and how do you help them
Yeah.
say, tell me it's okay, you'll survive. Just let them be.
Yeah.
Recognize them and let them be.
Yeah. So we've been conditioned to be afraid of our emotions from a very young age. Anger, especially,
Mm.
anger is the most common emotion repressed by all genders. And the reason is because, and this isn't, please hear me. I'm not saying parents are bad. They just don't know what they don't know. Right. But
Yeah.
as children, if we get angry, right, we are put in timeout. We are told to go to our room. We're rejected, right? Don't be that way. Don't throw the car, the Hot Wheels car across
You're
the
not
room.
supposed to be to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
so when we do that to our children, and and a lot of parents, it's because we just don't know how to teach our children to label their emotions, nor do we know a lot of adults, especially the generation that came before us, and then the generation before that, like therapy and like that was like so taboo, right? You
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
crazy if you did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You don't even talk about it out loud, let alone on a live, right?
yeah. So it's like, we as children have this a thought process of, if I am angry, that means I will be rejected. If I am angry, that means I won't be accepted. If I am angry, that means I'm a problem. And
Yeah.
so there's all these stories and I'm just using anger as one emotion. Part of my childhood trauma was I was actually mocked for crying. I had a parent who would say, do it for the camera, like just completely mocking and belittling. And yeah. And so I also assigned all of those stories to sadness too. So,
Mhm.
when you have these little experiences where by no fault of your own, and honestly, then the parents' own issues and their own conditioning,
Yeah,
is
it's not even
like,
their fault because
yeah.
they're programmed that way.
And so it's like when we have these experiences, we start to repress emotions at a very young age. Whereas, and this is like science based too, when we can teach our children, like, what emotion are you feeling, and they can label it, like, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad, and then we can give them tools. And this is where I come in with the trauma work with my clients, is like, let's befriend the anger. Like, obviously we don't want to use our anger to lash out at someone, but how
Yeah.
else can we manage our anger in a healthy way? And this is like punching pillows, screaming in your car. I
Wow.
use my blanket, this is why I have a blanket with me at all times. It's like we can pull on materials that we know, but it's really just that energy. Go for a run,
Mm.
and really, when I give them tools,
Let
not
it out. Just let
exactly
that rage out.
express, like externally, allow
Ex.
the emotion to
Mhm.
exist, and so
Excellent.
for anyone who's feeling their feelings and you're like, how can I get out of it? That's the way out of it. Now, if
So
even
we
that,
have a comment here
okay,
that says listening to oneself. Is
yeah,
that one of the tools that, you know?
yeah, it's like how, when you recognize that you're in an emotional state, the steps I like to say are: one, get curious about how you can tell you're feeling that emotion. So, like, if you can say, "Ooh, I'm angry," how can you tell you're angry, right? If I'm anxious, how can I tell I'm anxious? And then two, once
Mm.
you can label the manifesting in the body, like the somatic experience of it,
Yeah.
then allow yourself to externally process. And then from
Mhm.
there, ideally, you regulate the nervous system again to come back into stasis, which are
Mhm.
things like breath work and tapping and grounding and cold exposure. So I could go on all day just about this one
No,
question.
this is fascinating. And then
But those
please,
are my
oh
little
yeah,
tools,
yeah,
Like,
This is incredible. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Because we
on
have a
this.
lot of rage that we carry. So
Yeah,
much. We don't
yeah,
even recognize what it is coming from. Like,
no,
yeah.
yeah.
So, like, how do a lot of people, I mean, you see it, people are angry in the street, in everywhere. And
Mm.
so, do you link that to always an episode of trauma somewhere in their lives?
I am of the personal belief system that everything is trauma. Like, I really, because trauma is so subtle. And I think that's another like uneducated thing in the world is like people think, I used to think this too. Trauma only comes from like acute trauma, like fair warning. And if this is like trigger warning, everyone, like rape, muggings, shootings, like those abuse. Yes, of course. But trauma can also be like a parent not managing their emotions, a
Yeah.
parent denying or making fun of your emotions, or
Mhm.
just inconsistent care, right? Can be a trauma.
And
So
this is important because what you want to say is for a child, it amplifies, right? When a child lives through that
yeah.
at a young age, it becomes huge. It becomes like the monster. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
big.
as that child has that childhood trauma that's at a young age of 5, 6, whatever,
Yeah.
it compounds because now they go into their, adult, like their toddler years with the same conditioning and they replay that cycle. So it's
Mhm.
like a lot of what we see pattern wise in our adult years, we can, if we really take the time to sit with it, it's like, I've been playing this cycle out since the second grade. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes. Probably even before. We all did somehow, somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, when it comes to trauma, I just want people to understand that there's all these different varying, forms of trauma, from acute trauma to little t trauma. Now, I have ADHD and already forgot the question. Can you let me know where we're
Well,
going with
you
this?
say about the trauma, it's like when everywhere you see a lot of people
Yes.
very enraged and, angry, and you're like, can there be more love in the street and around us?
And so this is,
Mhm.
again, because yes, I'm of the mindset that when I see someone on the street having an episode, or like I also live in an area where there's a lot of drug abuse, and it's like I know that people reach for those coping mechanisms because it's a way to avoid the feelings that are coming up because they're
The
so
feelings.
uncomfortable.
Again, we're back to the feelings here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
so when it happens, like when I see this happening in my own life, like my own self-sabotage, I'm always getting curious because it's like, I know this is trauma. Where did I learn this from? Right? What are the thoughts and feelings I've assigned to this
Mhm.
situation, to this goal?
Mhm.
Yeah, like I really believe that love, which is the antidote to everything, like it
Oh, yeah.
really is. It's the
Oh,
antidote
yeah.
to everything. But
Mhm.
love can be a very scary emotion to experience, whether you're giving it or receiving love, when it has been a point of abuse in the past, where people who are
Wow.
supposed to love you don't.
You
And it
didn't.
starts
Oh,
with parents and caregivers, and it goes into friendships, and it goes into romantic relationships, right? And
yeah.
so if
So
love,
we link it to a
yeah, exactly.
very hurtful emotion, so we stay away from it.
Yes.
It's
And
hard.
this is a lot of the like survivors of narcissistic abuse. And I, again, speaking from personal experience, I used to equate high highs and low lows as love because that's what was modeled to me. Like
Okay.
my narcissistic parent would scream at me, like very unsafe environment. I did have a lot of spanking, so wood, the belt and the wooden spoon and stuff like that.
Oh,
So it would go from like being that kind of environment to like the next day it's like, hey, you want to skip school and go to Starbucks with me? Like, so there was this really
that's how
weird,
they forgive themselves, by treating
exactly.
you
It's a
nicely.
love, yeah, it's a
It's
love
like
bomb,
a
which is
it's
what
like
we
you're
know.
in a swing, kind
Exactly.
of like
And so because
yo-yo.
of that severity with my relationship with my parent, I subconsciously sought out those severe swings with
Yeah,
my
because you
romantic
look for the
relationship.
pattern. You're gonna repeat the same patterns in your
And
life.
to me, that was love. That's all I knew. And so when I would have a date with someone who was conscious and secure and didn't want to make me guess where I stood with them, and there wasn't that giant
You're
pendulum,
gonna run away because you're
I,
not used to
yeah,
it.
I was like, you're
I was
weird.
like,
You're
"What
too
is that?"
you're nice. You must
Wow.
be a weak person. I also assigned
Mhm.
it with weakness because of the type of thought conditioning
Because you
around.
link it to authority, so it's like the authority. It
And
means
I was
power.
mocked for my emotions. And so if someone was emotional with me, I wasn't, I was emotionally unavailable to myself because I was told emotions are weak and
Mhm.
you're too sensitive and you're too needy. So repress, repress, repress. And so if someone else would bring their emotions to me, I was emotionally unavailable to them. And
Oh,
so much of trauma work on just processing the past, like, yes, that's one of it. But the other half of this cycle is reclaiming my emotions, who I am, what my needs are, what my desires are, because I wasn't allowed to have them.
mhm.
And then on how do I receive love? How do I feel safe receiving love? Because
Yeah.
that's a foreign concept to so many people.
Yeah,
It
because we forget that we deserve the just nice and soft and gentle love.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this can even show up as like using humor as a defense mechanism too. Is
Oh,
like,
yes, sarcasm and humor.
yeah, even when someone's like, so this is actually a great example that I was talking about on my podcast, and we analyze on
And
reality.
congratulations. I know you have 1 year now on your podcast. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
thank you. Yeah. And
Yeah. I'm
so,
gonna drop the link for whoever wants to listen to you.
okay,
It's on
cool.
Apple's, was it? It's an Apple.
Yeah, and Spotify.
And
Yeah.
Spotify. Okay,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Thank
Congrats.
you. Yeah.
Mm.
And so what's really fun about my podcast is, my best friend's a licensed therapist. We've known each other since we were 11, but we unpack right now. We're doing Love is Blind, and we're about to do The Ultimatum on Netflix, but we utilize these reality shows to educate on healthy versus toxic relationship behavior.
Wow. And
And
what
so,
did you find out? What's
yeah,
happening on
so
Netflix?
much, so
Ah,
much. It's
so
so,
it's a lot of unhealthy
oh my
relationships.
gosh. Yeah. Well, think about the type of personality who's attracted to be on TV, right?
Yeah.
Um,
But the
but
problem
there's,
is that all our young teenagers and young
oh yeah.
women are
Yes.
watching that.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. And for me
So,
too, I fell prey to it because I would glorify the wrong things because
of
that's what
course.
Hollywood wants us to glorify. So,
Mm.
we were talking about this on the show, but and occasionally there's some actually really conscious, amazing people. So there were a few on this last season of Love is Blind, but the point
Okay.
that I'm trying to make here is that one of the men expresses his love for his partner through singing.
Okay.
I feel really like, me personally, if someone was going to sing to me, that would make me feel like that's something I need to work on receiving, because to
You
me,
can't. It's too much.
it feels a little too much, right? And so,
Oh,
but
I think it would feel too much for everyone, unless you're Romeo and Juliet or whatever.
and his partner loves it. The one he chose in this experiment,
She will
actually,
listen to him.
she loves it. She listens. She applauds it. She is thankful and
She
grateful for it.
receive it. She
She
receives
fully
it.
receives it. And so we were talking about, like, because I feel icky, like I'm like, oh no, that's like just a little
It's
too,
too much.
but a lot of people would maybe poke fun as like oh my gosh, you're so cute, look at your songwriter dorky self, and like gently poke fun at their partner, because that is also a form of blocking
Mhm.
the receptivity of it, because it's
That's
like,
right.
I'm gonna belittle, mock, even if it's not coming from a malicious place. It's just
Right.
they are uncomfortable. And so to
So
poke
that's how they express it. This is incredible, which means that you not only understand how the person is not ready to receive love and care and attention, but she becomes mean because she wants to protect herself from
right.
that horrible feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why, and that helps you forgive people.
It does. And
Mm,
yourself,
really.
because it's like,
Yes.
now,
And then
like,
yourself.
let's
Mm.
say that happened. And it has happened recently, actually, because like the guy I'm seeing,
Yeah.
it's still very early days, but it's been a wonderful dating experience with him. But he loves karaoke.
Okay.
And
He sings to you.
yeah, yeah. And so actually we were playing like a really fun card game where the prompt was he had to sing a chorus for me. And I actually practiced this in real time where I could feel the discomfort come up,
Okay.
but using
You're
my
like, it's okay.
skills, exactly, I was able to receive it and say like, oh my God, like that's so sweet. You did so good. And like support him and reinforce him instead of letting my sabotage come out
Yeah,
of
and sabotaging him. Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, you're great. And you celebrate yourself when you do that because you're like, "Ah, I did it. I
Yeah,
did it."
exactly. Yeah.
And that's incredible. But it's amazing that you mention things that we take for granted and we kind of want to ignore.
Mm,
But in reality, we feel very uncomfortable receiving things. And I think the receiving part comes always from a trauma in our past because we don't know how to receive. We
no,
we just don't know.
no.
And a lot of women, that's a lot of their big issues, is really being able to welcome things,
Yeah.
like you're beautiful, just say thank you. Sometimes you're like, no, I am just did my hair, that's why. I'm like, okay, I'm just sitting there. And we're not even able to
Yeah.
receive compliments.
Yep. That's
It
right.
changes. Your work is so powerful. I love this. It
Yeah.
really is.
Thank you. I love what I do. I feel like I'm spoiled, like it's such an honor to see people come into my world feeling one way and leaving feeling the complete opposite. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, I know that.
it's so empowering. It really is. Yeah.
Yes, this industry, I think that's what it has the most fulfilling part of it is really that. And when you're genuinely doing things because you care,
Yeah.
it's like you feel full at the end of the day and so happy and so ready to do more and to learn more, to
Yeah.
share more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
100%.
here's you. You have a beautiful comment. Thank you, Diane, for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, Alex. You're just so full of energy. I'm loving it. You really are.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
yeah, because you so connected with what you do, and that's the spark you
Thank
need
you.
for a
Yeah.
business. Because
Yeah.
you're young. You
Yeah.
started young, and
I,
you're or this success. So, what do you think that's driving you? Is it the love for what you do? Is it the fact that each time you grow through your work?
yeah.
What's that?
I think it's two things. I think, oof, I might get a little teary-eyed, so thanks guys in advance. I think part of what fuels me is little me.
Mm,
Like 6-year-old me would be flabbergasted at the life that I've created for myself now and
mm,
so proud of me.
so proud.
And
Yeah.
just, yeah. And so it's like I do this for her and I do this for the other children of narcissistic parents and the other survivors of narcissistic partnerships who feel so alone and just confused and broken and like, is it ever going to get better? Like there's just this sense of like hopelessness that can come up when you are deep in the thick of your trauma.
Listeners.
And so I do it for that, for them and for that part of me. And I also do it for the people in my world that I see right now who are getting off of Xanax prescriptions because their anxiety is under control now. The people who are having healthy partnerships and telling me they're giving me a wedding invite if they end up getting engaged because they've left their narcissistic ex, learned how
Yeah.
to date consciously and are actually reclaiming,
Create a life.
healthy conscious
Mhm.
partnerships for themselves. And so it's just
I
like
love that.
to see the full breadth of it all from A to Z is just like, how can I not? I don't know how I can't stay plugged in. Like it's just the most amazing witnessing experience to have.
I absolutely love this. And because you're doing it so beautifully, also. I mean, I think the most important things is to take the time to understand oneself and get the tools so that you can project that and grow together. And I always say that about mentorship and this industry, there is a power to it when you have the tools and you're ready to listen to the other person and the other person is ready to be mentored to
Yeah,
change their life. So it goes both ways. And
absolutely.
creating that connection is the most beautiful, rewarding thing
Yeah.
for both, right? For you as a mentor and for the other person as the mentee.
Mhm.
I love this. I mean, you are beautiful and your work is so valuable and so powerful, really. I mean, and I think your work goes beyond the niche you say,
It
because
does. Yeah.
it really, I mean, I think the description of the people you work with, it really everybody,
Yeah.
because there is so much frustration out
Mhm.
there
There is. Yeah.
from,
There's an answer to it all. There really is. Yeah.
and that frustration comes with a lot of disappointment, and some people get triggered, and it brings them back to anything that was trauma in their life.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
That's right. That's
very
right.
deep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Lilia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So, what would you like to say as a closing words? And for people who wants to connect with Alex, the link is on the description of the live today. There is also your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I
Mhm.
just want anyone out there who's going through it, like, one, I want you to know you're not alone. I was talking to a friend about this yesterday because the other part of my story of a challenging day yesterday is I had a friend reach out for some relationship stuff that he's going through with his wife. And I had this conversation with him is like, when you are self-isolating because of some heavy stuff that you're carrying, I want you to know that, yes, you may feel alone, and at the same time, you're also not. Like, so many of us feel alone because we're too scared to be vulnerable and honest with what's coming up. And that becomes the self-fulfilling prophecy of the loneliness. And I just want you, everyone out there, to know no matter what you're going through, there's other people on this planet having the same feelings and emotions and thoughts that you are, and we are in it together. And when we band together and do this work together, the ripple effect is very real, and it completely transforms our lives, starting with our own inner world and landscape. And so I just want everyone to like be comforted and like know that there's resources out there for you, and that the day that you have that, I am in this for me, because of not only what it will create for you, but the life that it will create outside of you, you are a one quantum leap away from a life that you thrive in, like really truly.
This is beautiful. Thank you so much for your energy, your presence, for sharing this message that is so powerful to everyone, for giving hope to hopelessness, because that's what it is, really. People that feel stuck and feel that, you can live other ways. No, everybody deserves to be loved. Everybody deserves to be appreciated. Everybody deserves to be cared for. And I think this is the most powerful. We are born, all of us, just spiritually perfect, deserving everything. This is the most powerful message. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for your work.
Of course.
And thank you for sharing your beautiful gift with everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. This is such a beautiful session. I loved your energy, and it's so empowering to everyone, because there is hope, and you can create the most beautiful success story like Alex did with her life. And you are showing the light for so many. Bye, everyone, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you.